Hello again, everybody. I'm Scott Rossman alongside Hayden Smith. This is 7 Plus Sports Talk presented by Bill Bird Kia. And tonight, Hayden, our subject is the new head basketball coach of the men's program at Gulf Coast State College, Adam Sweeney, as he makes the transition from the Lane Blue era to the Adam Sweeney era at Gulf Coast, and some of the early priorities he's working with right now.
Yeah, Scott, it's obviously always difficult in JUCO basketball to be able to recruit top tier talent year in and year out, but especially to do it like Coach Sweeney is going to have to do it and has been doing it so far this offseason. Just makes it that much more difficult. He
has a tough act to follow, as we talked about Lane Blue making the transition after a terrific 2025-2026 season at Gulf Coast. Got a little video from last year. They ended up having both the State Player of the Year and the FCSSA Male Athlete of the Year in Trent Lincoln, number 0. You'll see him throughout this video. And just a terrific season last year for the Commodores, Hayden.
Yeah, Scott, they went 28-8, 7-5 in the conference, taking home a share of the Panhandle Conference title. And after falling in the semifinals of the state tournament, the team making it all the way to the Final Four in the national tournament, Scott, it was definitely just a historic year for them. You mentioned about Trent Lincoln. Here he is right there, leading the way with 19 points per game and 6 assists. And, of course, going to be repping TCU this upcoming year. Again, it just special is not the best describer of how last year was, because it was even more than just special. It was just truly historic to be able to witness.
And Coach Blue getting a job at an assistant coaching job at Florida International University, correct? FIU, right?
Exactly.
So he's moved on, and that led to the transition to Adam Sweeney, who was introduced in early May. Coach Sweeney, a graduate of Gardner-Webb in North Carolina. He's also had 2 coaching stints at Northwest Florida State as an assistant over there. Spent 1 year at New Mexico Junior College. He said he and his wife did not like, New Mexico, and wanted to move back east. And that's when they came back to, I believe, Niceville for the second time. But then up to Gardner-Webb for the last 2 years, and then officially introduced in early May as the new men's basketball coach of the Gulf Coast program. And that was a little bit of his introduction you saw there.
Exactly. And again, a lot of people definitely excited for Coach Sweeney. It also helps the fact that he is obviously familiar with the area during his 2 previous stints at Northwest Florida. So it's not a complete outsider coming and taking over a job that has definitely skyrocketed here in the last couple of years.
And coming in May, you're not completely behind the 8 ball, although, the clock is ticking in terms of filling that roster. And in fact, he's had to turn over the entire roster. So he came in needing 12 new recruits, and he also had to find a couple of new assistant coaches. We sat down with Coach Sweeney via Zoom not long ago and talked about his priorities taking over. And he began that conversation talking about those 2 new assistant coaches that he's hired.
Man, I guess when we first talked, I don't think I had a staff hired, so we're good there. So I got 2 assistant coaches hired. They've been awesome so far. Really excited about them. We've got Jared Champion. He's coming over from Howard College. They just won the national championship this year. So he's been an awesome addition to the staff. Really helped with, recruiting so far, bringing in some good international players and some good connections there. And he's just been able to kind of see what it looks like at the highest level too. So just a guy you could really bounce things off of, get his opinion, because he's been through it already. So he kind of understands and knows junior college and the day-to-day of it. And I think he's just got a awesome personality, great with the guys, looks after him, will do anything to help him. So he's been a great addition. I'm really excited about having him with us now. He's been with us for probably a month. And then the other guy, our other assistant coach, his name is Jules Legemtel. He's got a cool story. Funny enough, he's coming to us from Iona University. He was a GA there, came very highly recommended, but great on the court, great with got a great basketball mind, great on with skill work with the guys, doing the lifting with them, running our weights program, and he's got a cool story. Those parents were born in France, um, moved over here. He's the only sibling from his family that wasn't born in France. He was born in New York. But funny enough, I didn't know he spoke French until we did a Zoom call with a French-speaking player we were trying to get, and all of a sudden they just start talking in French, and the agent's talking in French, and for like 5 minutes, and they're all kind of laughing, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, I got no idea what they're saying, what they're talking about, but I figured they were all laughing and having a good time, so I figured it was something good, and so it's actually been really cool because right now we currently have two players from France that'll be coming over to join us in the fall, and so not only was he really helpful on the Zoom calls with them, but as we've been, needing documentation and getting through the application process and communicating with their parents and their agents, like nothing gets lost in translation because we can, if there's anything I need to tell him or he kind of already knows the process now, he can clearly communicate it in French, and nothing gets lost in translation. That's the best way I can put it. So they've been awesome. They each have different strengths and in their own unique ways have brought a lot to the table so far to kind of compliment me. So I'm excited about them.
I think it's interesting there. He mentioned in negotiating with the French recruits, he mentions the agent there too, Hayden.
Yeah, just I guess it's that time. Yeah, just not definitely used to that yet, though. We're gonna have to get used to it here pretty quickly.
State of college basketball, and it's always interesting to know the processes of how these international students kind of wind up at Gulf Coast or Chipola, or Northwest Florida, Tallahassee. They wind up in the Panhandle Conference, playing and hoping to make a name for themselves and to move on to a good Division I program.
Yeah, Scott, that's definitely, especially in my last 2 years here throughout the Panhandle Conference, that has definitely become a lot of the norm, is a lot of those recruits coming from overseas, international, and they are hungry whenever they get here. And it is always very curious whenever we talk to some of these head coaches on how do you communicate with these guys if you can't speak their language?
Right.
I always think back of head coach Rory Kuhn at Gulf Coast saying that he learned a lot through Duolingo and trying to learn as much foreign language as he can.
And from my aspect, I always wonder, how do they excel in the classroom? And coaches have told me the foreign students tend to be excellent students.
Yes.
I've always wondered, like, if there is that language barrier, but and in many foreign countries, when you travel through Europe or even in many parts of Africa, they know English, so they may not have great command of the English language speaking it, but they can understand it. And again, I've had several coaches tell me these foreign-born players are excellent college students. So that's an interesting aspect to that. Now the coach tells us he has filled out, at least when we did the Zoom call, he had 8 recruits signed, with a ninth pretty close to signing. That may have already happened by the time we're streaming this. But 5 of those players on campus right now, working out here in the summer. And I believe, Hayden, you got to see a little bit of that up close.
Yeah, exactly. Again, not very many players there currently right now for Gulf Coast, but from the players that were there, they definitely looked like they were very hungry. They wanted to get to work, and especially this time of the year. In July, you've still got a little bit of a buffer before the season starts. Not all of your teammates are there, so some guys can maybe get a little lax and just kind of go through the motions. I didn't really see that in this case with the guys that were out there for Gulf Coast and working out alongside some of those assistant coaches as well that are new to the area and definitely looked like they were ready to roll, Scott.
Of the 8 players that they've signed now, 3 of them are international players, as the coach mentioned, 2 from France, 2 JUCO transfers. 2 are coming from prep schools, and 1 is coming straight out of high school. And here's the coach on the current state of his roster.
Really excited about what we got. The skill level that these guys have is awesome. I really like our talent. I really like our skill level. I think right now, if I had a one knock on our roster, just being honest, it's college experience. We only have one guy right now that actually played in a college basketball game last year. So, you know, we love to add a couple more with some experience, just that have won before, know kind of what it takes and how hard it is to win a college basketball game. And so if we could find a way to add 1 or 2 of those guys here to finish it out, that'd be awesome. But make no mistake about it, the young guys we have, man, are good. They're talented. I'm really excited about them. They just, once they get their feet wet and they get comfortable, like I think after Christmas, like our best basketball is going to really be ahead of us with this group for that reason. And then with the international guys we have, they have very good experiences. It's just not in college, but they've played in some really good leagues over there that are, thankfully they're amateur leagues, so they're still junior college eligible, but the competition's really good and they've been coached at a high level. And so once they kind of get adjusted to, everything with America and the American style game, they'll be able to bring a lot to the table with us as well. So really like what we have. We are old in age, which is funny. They're all, like one of our freshmen, he's going to turn 20 on Saturday, on July 4th. So like, that's what I'm saying. Like we've got college ready bodies, but the experience isn't there. So we'll see if we can add a little bit of that. And then as those younger guys kind of get their feet wet and learn. So.
And, Hayden, it has to be especially difficult nowadays, even on the junior college program, which used to be a JUCO roster, used to be 5 or 6 or even 7 guys coming right out of high school, mixing with second-year JUCO players, to now you have 1 high school player trying to mix it with guys who, as the coach said, are 18 or 19, 20, and, and bigger, more developed bodies and all that. It's just got to be odd for that 1 high school player.
Yeah, exactly. It's very different landscape than what we were used to even less than 10 years ago, Scott. It's just changed so drastically with NIL, obviously, and just the changing, ever-changing landscape of JUCO basketball as well. Something that I am very curious about, Scott, is the fact that obviously Coach Sweeney is aware that not a lot of these guys have experience at the junior college level, though they have experience in other maybe other leagues across internationally. But you also can think back to last year, is that the Chipola Indians under Donnie Tyndall, that team did not have a lot of experience, and none of them had any experience, especially playing in the Panhandle Conference. And you look exactly what they did, co-Panhandle Conference champions and state champions as well. So there's no question it can be done.
No question it can be done. And again, we're talking about Donnie Tyndall, who is, probably among the dean of JUCO coaches, an outstanding Division I coach in his own right. So, but again, Coach Sweeney certainly has his work cut out for him, and it's certainly going to take some time for these new players, 12 or 13, whatever he fills the roster with, to gel. As he said before, it probably won't be until late December when they're really starting to play their some better basketball. So they'll probably take their lumps early in the non-conference season. Again, with 5 players in working out during the summer, we talked to the coach about what the plan is for those players and others that may join the fold here in the summer months.
Yeah, so we've gotten started actually already. We have 5 guys here right now that we've been working on campus. The 2 transfers, and then we've got the 3 incoming freshmen that aren't from overseas that are here now. And so we're finishing up. We brought them in last week to help with camp, got all their paperwork and physicals, everything we had to do. We started working with them last Thursday, just kind of 2 days in the weight room on the court to see where they were at, strength wise, technique wise in the weight room. And then kind of where they were conditioning wise and everything on the court. And then we've kind of ramped it up, this week, the last couple days, and then we'll try to ramp it up even more next week as their conditioning and everything gets better, and then just keep trying to build it up. And then maybe that last week, lighten the load a little bit, and then kind of finish the summer there. July 31st is the last day. So that last week, kind of the 24th through the 31st, wherever it is, we'll finish that up. They'll go home for 2.5 weeks, and then class starts August 17th. So they'll have to be back then. And then that's when we'll get the whole group together, all 12, 13 of them. And then we'll really be pretty much ripping and running until we break for Christmas.
And in listening to that, Hayden, you posed an interesting thought that perhaps we'll ask Coach Sweeney and Coach DeMeo and Coach Tyndall going through this recruiting process, kind of expound on that.
Yeah, it's just the fact with everything that has changed, obviously, now in the NCAA and now the new eligibility rules they've given athletes 5 years of eligibility throughout a 5-year period during their college years. As soon as either they step onto campus, or I believe the rule is whenever you turn 19 years old is whenever the clock starts ticking. So I'm very curious to see how much this changes athletes' decisions on going the junior college route. It could be maybe a little bit more forgiving, or maybe now players understanding that they have a 5-year eligibility time clock, essentially, that now, hey, maybe it's not even worth it going the junior college route. I'm very curious to just know what athletes are thinking about and what these junior college coaches are learning while they're out recruiting.
And again, a very good question we will have to pose at the end of the recruiting cycle for coaches Tyndall, DeMeo, and now Adam Sweeney, the new head men's basketball coach at Gulf Coast State College. We thank Coach Sweeney for his time. We certainly appreciated all that while he and his wife trying to find a new house for their family here in Bay County. He's still house hunting, so we wish him the best of luck on that. But thank him once again for joining us for this edition of 7 Plus Sportscast, or Sports Talk, presented by Bill Bird Kia. For Hayden, the final time here on 7 Plus Sports Talk. For those of you that don't know, Hayden Smith is off to Augusta, Georgia, in WRDW to be the sports director for that affiliate up there. Hayden, congratulations to you on that.
Thank you so much, Scott. Again, really appreciate everybody just giving me the chance to be able to tell these stories, and definitely thank everybody that we've ever encountered here for 7 Plus Sports Talk. And Scott, I know you got your work cut out for you without me. No, I'm just kidding. I know they'll you guys will do just fine.
All right. Again, that's it for this edition of 7 Plus Sports Talk. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you later.